This is Alpha Trooper 12, and as you can see, I am in a brand new studio. Now, what happened was I moved from Florida all the way to Colorado because Florida is horrible with COVID. We've lived there for a very long time, and we just decided to leave because we've seen everything. And honestly, it's not too fun there just to live there. It's expensive too. And also, if you've been wondering why you haven't seen my videos, my channel's just been gone all of a sudden, is because Google decided to terminate my channel because I'm too young to do YouTube. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm 13 years old, so I'm a teenager. I'm not too young to be doing YouTube. I've been doing YouTube. I've been watching YouTube since 2013, but I've been making YouTube videos. I think I started making YouTube videos in like 2018 on my friend's old channel. I think that channel, I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know where he is. He lives down in Florida now, and I haven't seen him in like 2 years. So I'm not sure why YouTube decided to do that, but after about 2 weeks, my channel came back because it just took forever. I figured out what happened. So yeah, my channel's back. It shouldn't be gone anytime soon, and if it goes away again, you'll know exactly why. But if you saw in the thumbnail, today we're going to be doing a video review of the Nerf Super Soaker Rattler. Now, this is my first water gun review. I've never really done reviews on water guns because one, I don't have too many, and two, they're not really Nerf blasters. My reviews are typically on Nerf blasters, but I thought it would be fun to do a water gun and spice things up and try something different. So the Nerf Super Soaker Rattler is a pump-action, air-powered water blaster from the Soaker War series in the Nerf Super Soaker line. So let's go ahead and get to the review of the Rattler, starting up at the front. The Rattler does not feature an end-strike barrel lug because this is a water blaster. Water blasters don't typically feature barrel lugs. I've never seen one. Maybe there's one out there that does, but this one does not because you'll probably rust out the screws on your Recon Retaliator barrel if you try to throw it on here. Now, if this thing did have a barrel lug, I would throw on a long shot front gun that's broken because it has almost the exact same color as blue, but that's the barrel. Now, the inner diameter is very thin because it's a water gun. They typically shoot lanes of water instead of like darts, so that's why it looks weird, but that's the barrel. Down here is the pump. This is air-powered, but does not have a trigger, so it's technically air-powered, but you don't have to pump it up and then pull a trigger. It's just complete, it's like a ham style. So it's this entire orange piece here with the gray, so to pump it, you're gonna extend it out like so, and then push it in forward as quick as you can to shoot out water. It's not a shotgun, and now it will be, if it's full of water, it'll go, as you'll see in my firing demo. But that's how it pumps. Now, the slower you go, the less far it'll shoot, but you can go like that and it'll shoot pretty fast and pretty far, honestly. It shoots pretty okay for a 11-year-old water gun. This came out in 2009. Right here, there's the Sling Mount. I'm not sure why you want to put a sling there. Maybe if you have like a water flag or something to indicate what team you're on. But there is, in the Soaker War series, there's a few blasters. Some of them are blue. Some of them are red to indicate what team you're on, so I'm not sure why you'd want a sling mount. I don't think you're going to be slinging your Rattler on your sling on your back, in the pool, but that's why it's there. But that's the sling mount. Up top, there's a single edge strike tactical rail. Now, I'm not sure why there's a tactical rail. Now, mine is missing the locking tooth, but normally there's a very strong locking tooth. I've seen it. It's pretty stiff. The springing there, I've seen it looks pretty stiff. Now, again, I'm not sure why there is a tactical rail on here. Now, a lot of the newer Super Soakers, like circa 2008, they've started putting tactical rails on them for some reason. Now, I obviously would not recommend putting on an optic, especially like a red dot, unless it's broken, because if it's working and has batteries in it, it's going to corrode the batteries, and it's going to actually damage the laser function of the red dot. So I wouldn't recommend putting optics, but if you have an optic like a scope, maybe. I'm not sure why you'd want to put that there. Now going down to the grip. Now the grip is a little weird. It's a little small, but it's average. The only thing I don't like is that since there's no trigger guard, my middle finger likes to run up sometimes like that. As you can see, it likes to run up. Now if I'm holding it tight, it never does that, but it likes to run up sometimes. That's just something it does. Going out of the trigger, just kidding, this thing has no trigger. Obviously, there's no slam fire. This is kind of a slam Fire only blaster, but this isn't really Slam Fire either. So that's the grip. Now, even though this is a thumb hole stock, it's a little small, a little restrictive, but it's fine. I've said it's like 3 times. It's fine. Now, I don't personally like it that much. I wish I could just cut off this entire part, but right from where the S on the Super Soaker begins, that is the entire water tank. So that's why if you cut this off, you'll completely waste the function of your blaster. All the water will leak out and you can't use it anymore. So on the stock, there is a Sling Mount, and then to the stock itself, the stock is very puny. I wouldn't recommend shouldering this unless you like tight fit blasters, but this thing is just so small. Now, the stock itself reminds me of the Firefly that I reviewed a few months ago, just because of the thickness of it and the way it just looks and the curve in there. It looks like a Firefly stock, but it's definitely not as comfortable. So that's the stock. Now going up here, we have the actual loading port. So to actually load the blaster, to actually load the water tank, obviously your blaster's not going to function. There is no water in this because I'm not trying to damage the lights in my studio. That's why I haven't loaded it yet. You'll see my firing demo, what it looks like, but to actually load it, you'll see this orange cap. You're going to twist that off. Now, if you've already pumped it a few times, you're going to hear a hiss, like that, and that's because there's just air in there, and it makes a funny sound. That's just the air building up in there. It does have an actual air release hole, but it's not big enough to release water, but it doesn't really work too well. So once your cap is twisted off, there's a string that keeps the cap from actually coming off, and it prevents you from losing the cap. Now, if you cut the string off, obviously you're going to lose the cap. I wouldn't recommend cutting off the string, but if you want to, you can. If you just want to have a detachable cap that doesn't make a whole lot of noise, then go ahead and do that. And then you can take like a sink. Now, on the side of the blaster, it recommends to only use clean tap water. Now, I actually just use chlorine water, like actual pool water, because in my apartment complex here in Colorado, I actually have a pool, so yeah, I can use that. I use this in there sometimes. And then you can just dip it underwater, and when it starts filling up, when it starts bubbling, and then when it stops bubbling, it fills up. The water tank capacity is 1.5 liters, which there's some things that hold more, like the bottle blitz, depending on what bottle you'll use. You'll hold like 0.5 liters, 1 liter, 1.5 liters, 2 liters, 3 liters if you somehow find a 3-liter bottle. I have seen them before, but they're like in the Mexican style stores. You don't find them too often. So it's a little bit small of capacity, but you get about 45 full pumps before you have to reload. I did 3 tests. Like 3 times I did this test, I just pumped it until it ran out of water, and I did it 3 times, and each time, one time it was 45, the next time it was 45, and then one time it was 43. So you're gonna average around 43 to 45 pumps before you're out of water. Now, if you're only pumping it like this, you're gonna obviously last a little longer, but you're not gonna be shooting as far. So that's the tank capacity. Now, if you use it underwater, if you just dip it underwater, your reload time can be under 10 seconds, which is definitely pretty good for a water gun. Something like the Bottle Blitz, my personal favorite Super Soaker, because it's kind of like a magazine. It's really cool. I love the Bottle Blitz. I really hope I can get my hands on one day. With that one, you have to, I think there's a lock that you have to pull back, and then you have to twist off the bottle, and then if you don't have an actual bottle, you have to refill it, and then you have to twist it back on. Reload time is gonna be over a minute, which is just kind of sad. Now, if you have like extra 2 liters on the sides of the pool, then reload time can be in around 20 seconds. Now, if you're using this under tap, depending on how fast the tap is, if it's on like full blast, your reload time can be around 30 seconds, and I'll show you the actual loading of it in a second. But I recommend using it in a pool if you want a fast reload, and don't use tap water because it's just a waste. You have chlorine in your pool for a reason. Just don't spray it in somebody's eyes. That's really bad to do. Once you're loaded, you're just gonna twist on your cap, and then that's how you load it. it. So that pretty much finishes the external overview of the Nerf Super Soaker Rattler. Sorry for the rant I made about the water and crap. I don't know why I did that. It was kind of funny, honestly. So that's the review of the Super Soaker Rattler. Now let's go ahead and show how.
So now we're outside. If it's a little bit windy because of the noise, I'm sorry. It's a bit of a windy day today here in Colorado. Now you can't see the mountains because I'm on the wrong side. The mountains are behind me actually. I only live about 20 minutes from Pikes Peak, so right here I have the Rattler. As you can see, there's a ledge over there that I'm going to be trying to fire over. It'll probably make it over, maybe not, I'm not sure. So as you can see, I'm currently pumped, so let's go ahead and do about 10 shots. As you can see, the range isn't very great, and then we can do like a burst shot. And then we have just the super long range shot like that. 8, 9, 10. So that's about 10 shots. Maybe that's 9. I wasn't counting when I was doing the burst shots. So there's the Rattler on the floor. And yeah, water gets everywhere. There's the pool. I didn't want to fire down there. And you can see how far the water makes it over the ledge. So that's the firing test. And for anybody, there's the mountains. It's a pretty cloudy day out here, so that's the firing test of the Rattler. Now let's go ahead and get to the specs of the blaster, which is kind of weird because typically water guns do not have specs except for range.
So now that the range test is done, like the actual firing test, now we can talk about the specs, but before we do, sorry about that stupid wind noise out there. Mother Nature really sucks sometimes, and I can't prevent that wind sound, and I'm using my iPhone to film this. I have an iPhone 7 Plus, which makes filming look awesome. There's, I guess, my camera specs, and I have a tripod for it. Now, I can't chronograph this thing because I'm not trying to break my chronograph. I have a Nerf chronograph that I use. It's one of those chronobarrels. I say chronobarrels. Now, one, water probably won't even fit through that, and two, I'm not trying to break it because I spent $20 on it, so yeah. So I guess we can talk about range. This thing achieved an average range of 25 feet flat, which isn't great. You probably saw the pool in my firing demo. It can't even make it across that, so that says something. That pool's only, I think, like 40 feet long, so yeah. Angled, it was shooting about 30 to 35 feet, which again is amazing. Still can't even make it across the pool then. So yeah. So now let's go ahead and talk about the blaster itself, like my recommendation. Now these blasters are discontinued. They stopped making them, I think, in like 2012 when Soaker Wars ended. I think it was the Hydro Blast that's when Soaker Wars ended. It had that cool Raider stock thing. So you'll probably find these in a Goodwill. That's actually where I bought mine. That's why it's in kind of a scratched up condition. So if you can find one at Goodwill, maybe. Now, if you have something like a hydro cannon or a bottle blitz, then no, I can't recommend this. Now, if you need a loader blaster for like a pool war, I can totally recommend it there. So that's my recommendation of the blaster, not to my overall opinion. Overall, I kind of like the blaster. It's just a little weird, a little bit out of my boundary for taste. But I use it sometimes. Now, I prefer to use, like, if I had access to a bottle blitz, one of my friends does, I try to use that thing all the time. Totally, I'd rather use a bottle blitz than this thing, but yeah, that's the firing test and the review of the Super Soaker Rattler from the Soaker Wars series. I'll try to find a purchase link. I doubt I will, but if I have a purchase link down in the description box below, you'll see that. I now have an official Discord server, so if you want to, go ahead and join that. Also, there's a subscribe button. If you want to, go ahead too. I'm not going to force you to like and subscribe, guys, so we can get to 20,000. I'm only at 60 subscribers right now, but the subscribe button's there. If you want to use it, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and you can change your mind in the future, and you don't have to. I'm not going to force you to. Totally just watch the video, and if you liked it, please subscribe. So that's the review of the Super Soaker Wars Rattler. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.